How's it going, everyone? Vince here. I wanted to answer the 10 questions to ask a gamer that have been going around. You've seen many of the guys in the community and gals have been answering these questions. I figured that, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. It's something I wanted to do, just haven't had time to sit down and actually record this. But so let's get into question number one. And that is, what type of games do you play? For me, I play about a little bit of everything. I do play mainly more modern than I do retro. I do have a vast retro collection, but my go-to games are always going to be RPGs and fighting games. These were the staples that I play a lot. RPGs mainly because I wanted to continue to play games that emulated the tabletop experience of like Dungeons and Dragons, the Marvel superhero RPG that TSR put out, Rifts, which was part of Palladium, uh, as well as a couple other ones here and there that we played, Shadowrun, the Robotech, which is also under Palladium. There was the TMNT one that they did, but yeah, I loved just grinding, experiencing these stories, and kind of getting that fix for that role playing experience. As far as fighting games, I've always been a fan of fighting games from day one. Street Fighter 2 all the way up, every fighting game that I ever played. Tekken is my go-to. Of course, it's the one that blew my mind back when it came out in the arcade and everything. And then I remember just like fixating on Law because we were big in like the Bruce Lee films. And man, oh man, it was just so good. The combat was 3D. It was so much more than what we were getting with Virtual Fighter. And I just I just ate it up. And I still play Tekken to this day, of course, for those who know. I'm playing Tekken 8. I need to play a lot more, but things are happening in life. I'm trying to catch up on my back catalog, but I do love action adventure. I love playing just about anything. Um, yeah, I'm not very. I mean, I don't really play sports games at all, unless like maybe Square decided to put a Blitzball game out there. I know that I've talked about this before, but come on, Square, just make a Blitzball sports game for us to play. But um, yeah, I play just about anything, but RPGs and fighting games are my staples. So going on to question number two, on average, how much time do you spend playing video games? So if we were talking about maybe 10 years or like when in my teens, man, I played a lot. I played, I'd get home, do my homework and play until like I had to go to bed maybe 10, 11 midnight just to start the process all over again. And I've done that most of my life where I would go to work, come home, do chores, play video games for a long time and getting lack of sleep. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen like I've had like bags under my eyes sometimes, but I've been trying to get more sleep lately. But man, like right now, I may get in 10 to 15 hours a week, but that's low because I used to put in I could beat a game in a week depending on like the RPG I was playing at the time. So, it was easy to drop 40 hours in a week or 7 days. But right now, probably 10, 15 hours. I mean, I may like I just finished playing through Tales of Arise again, just so I can start playing the DLC. And then I've moved over to Front Mission first, and I've probably put in a good 10 hours. And we played some Call of Duty over the weekend. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd say 10, 15. It depends on the game. If like, when Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth came out, I was putting in a lot of hours. I think I clocked over 120 hours. There was a point where I played the game for 24 hours just because I knew I could, and I wanted to just engross myself in the game. So it depends on the game. It depends on what I have going on. But yeah, I'm on average, you know, I'd say 10 to 20 hours maybe. But yeah, let me see. Number three, do you think video games can be educational? Yes, I do. And they don't have to be designed to be educational. There's a lot of things that you can learn. I know that I improved my reading skills through playing RPGs back when I was younger. Um, you learn a lot of problem solving. You learn how to be diplomatic whenever you're having a conversation, especially like you think of Bethesda, not that well, Bethesda games, but mainly like BioWare with the KOTOR and Mass Effect games. You learn to de-escalate situations. You may learn stealthing abilities. But no, honestly, there's a lot of things that you can do within video games that can help you. And sometimes it can be not just like educational as far as like academics, but like personal skills, situational skills, dealing with different factors in your life. Sometimes, you may be dealing with something. Playing a video game helps you learn to cope with that process of things that are going on, and you know it you learn, if you're an introvert, to come out of your shell a little bit, because you might hear people having a conversation that you may be familiar with, and it's because of that knowledge you gain from the game that you can befriend these people, or uh whatever. I mean, but yeah, I definitely think that video games could be educational. Number four, what do I like about video games? This answer has changed, because I love the escapism that you could have. Dealing with stuff in life, sometimes it was always cool to, and it could be at a detriment as well, but to engross yourself in a video game, um, to take your mind off of whatever's going on. Like, I know for me, you know, I was pretty young, of course, whenever my parents got divorced, but video games helped me get through that. They helped me get through a lot of things. And I just, I love like how video games help me make a lot of friends, besides just my personality, enjoying what I enjoy, being very knowledgeable about stuff because I cared about it. Um, I like being very helpful, but and video games help with that. I mean, like video games, like there's always this like great story. You have great characters that you can emulate, look up to, learn from. But there's many different reasons why I enjoy video games, and over more mediums. I mean, over a different, also like variety of, blah, 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 I can't even say it. Over a different variety of other mediums. It's going to be tied for me because I enjoy film as much as I enjoy video games. Because that's one of the things I wanted to do, was I wanted to be a director. I went to school for a film. Life took me in a different direction, but you know, it is what it is. I wouldn't change it for the world. I have a wonderful wife and wonderful son and a home and a good job. But I love being able to connect with people through gaming. I miss like making friends, just playing fighting games in the arcades. I remember we had a group of guys that would always go to Tilt or to Super Track. These are arcades that we had quite a few different local arcades here, and one of them, biggest ones, was Super Track. And like after school, we'd go hit up Jack in the Box, and we would drive over, and we would play Tekken Tag. We would play Police 911. We would play Third Strike, and oh man, there was like so many other stuff like uh Marvel versus Capcom, SNK versus Capcom, Capcom versus SNK 1 and 2. Man, we played so many, and it was so cool because like your language to communicate with somebody was through your skill of playing the game. Um, and I remember that's what it was every weekend, every day. It was like, we're going to Super Track, we're going to do this. And or like later on when I started playing Final Fantasy 11, and which was online, I met my wife there. I met some really good friends I'm still friends with today. Um, Same thing with playing multiplayer for FPSs, you know, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, um, oh man, what else? Like Halo, all that stuff. I met these great guys that I'm still friends with today. That, sometimes we'll call each other and say, "Hey man, let's play something," and we'll jump on. It's not as much anymore, but I know that I can call them and we can play. But that's what I love about video games. It's the immersion, it's the connection with people, it's the stories, it's the characters, it's the bonds that we create through these things. Like there was a lot of games that I played with my father that I we still talk about today. So yeah, video games is a big part of my life, and it's one of the things I love because I get to share that passion with my son. I met my wife through a video game, and without video games, I wouldn't have this stuff. So I'm very appreciative of the impact in my life it has. But hope that answers the question. Uh, Number 5, how much do you spend on video games? So if any of my family or friends are watching this that actually know me, uh, probably know I spend quite a bit on that stuff. I do pay my bills, and then I usually spend the rest of it on other things, toys, collectibles, video games. Uh, let's see. It depends if we're talking about like a year basis, or we're talking about a week, or how much we talking are we spending like within a month? Because it varies. Like there may be a couple games that come out. So then I'm probably spending maybe anywhere between two to $300 of on video games a month. Not Then there's sometimes it's just one game I pick up, and that's usually, you know, maybe $70. And then there's times I buy lots from people. Actually, I'm working on one from Vinny. Um, they're I don't know. I spend quite a bit on video games. I spend quite a bit on toys too. Help me. No, I'm joking. Um, no, I probably spend way too much than I should. But I don't get myself overextended. I always make sure that we have enough set aside for things that we need to do. But yeah, I love my video games. I'm at that point now where now I want to start making more memories with my son and my wife, and maybe travel a little bit. So I may not be spending as much on that stuff, but I still spend a lot. And I probably still will spend a lot. It's inevitable. Um, let's see. Number 6, favorite console. So let me grab this. I'll just grab the one that's right here. I have my other one on my bed at the moment because I've been rearranging and things. But PS1, PlayStation 1 is my favorite console. It was originally going to be, of course, most people know, the next add-in and possible console for Nintendo until they backed out. Which, for the longest time, the Super Nintendo was my favorite console. part of that was because of my favorite game, which I will talk about. But the PlayStation, like when it came out, it brought in new genres. It defined gaming going forward beyond what it had been established at the time. You had Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, you had Metal Gear Solid, like Metal Gear coming back and being defined to what it was going to be in the future. You had Final Fantasy just making this giant leap from the pixel to polygonal characters. Um, there was so many franchises started on this system. You know, you had, of course, Tekken start on this system. You had Bloody Roar and Battle Arena Toshinden. You had, yeah, there's a lot. Um, so they're great RPGs. Beyond the Beyond, Suikoden. You had let me see. I'm blanking on some of this stuff. There, Vandal Hearts. Um, you got Lunar coming, and you got both versions of Lunar that were on the Sega CD remastered in a nice big box collector's edition for both of them. There was so many like PC games that were being ported over to this console. And I just have a lot of memories. I made so many friends. I have so many memories playing so many great games. And it was the time that solidified my love for gaming even more than what it was before. I remember going to like seventh and eighth grade and like picking up uh like Game Bro and Game Informer and uh EGM and all that, all those gaming magazines, and just like sitting in class reading all this stuff and like absorbing this knowledge. But another one of the great things about the PlayStation was it basically took the Super Nintendo controller, added two buttons to it, and was the best controller. In my opinion, is still one of the best controllers, especially when they added the analog sticks. But yeah, they're just, and the legacy lives on. We have, the PlayStation 5 Pro coming out in 2 months. Um, I'm happy with my PS5. I got some really great games. I enjoy it. It makes it easy to stream. But yeah, the PS1 is my favorite console. For a lot of reasons. Number seven, favorite game of all time. Do I need to say a whole lot what that is? I mean, I've bragged about it a lot, but and I definitely do need to make a video. I promised a couple people that I would, and I will at some point. But Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time. Many reasons why. Um, you had, Akira Toriyama. I mean, you had big names in Square, and I'm gonna butcher their names, and I'm not gonna say them. But like the creator of Final Fantasy, you had one of the greatest video game composers ever, um, the Akira Toriyama with the artwork. And what's funny was I found Dragon Ball after while playing Chrono Trigger. I love the art. I love this the world. The storytelling was amazing. Just the relatability for me being a child or teen at the time when the game came out and playing a character that was in a single parent home where like Chrono lived with his mom, like I live with my dad. Um, Chrono, of course, Chrono didn't have a sister, but he had a cat. I had a cat. My cat was named Smoke. He was a Russian blue. I had that cat from for almost 15 years. My best friend, he would lay in my lap when I play video games. Um, and he was always there. He was my best friend, my companion. And like Chrono had a cat. He had, of course, the cat depending on the ending, leaves into the point of the portals, and your mom goes chasing after him. Then you have to have the idea of like, well, does Chrono go save his mom? Of course he goes save his mom. But I love time travel. I mean, like Terminator 2, Terminator, Back to the Future. Some of my favorite films are related to time travel. So there was a lot of aspects of why I enjoyed this game. But like the music was just would captivate my imagination. I remember would I'd go to bed listening to The Corridor of Time. It's one of the songs that like most of my friends, my family know that I enjoy a lot, and if they hear it, it's they like me. It's the song that whenever my son was born, I would play that to him, and it was one of the things that I'd play to him at night, and it'd help him go to sleep. Um, but like it's a franchise I wish continued. I'm glad we got Chrono Cross and the connections to both games because it is a sequel. I don't care what anybody says. It's a sequel. When you have Luca, Chrono, and Marley in the game, and there's other things, it is a sequel. It doesn't have to have the same characters come back to be the playable. And that's a lesson we learned from the Final Fantasy series. But Chrono Trigger is this beautiful game, this beautiful RPG that I wish more people had the chance to play. It is kind of at a detriment, or it's kind of sucks that there isn't really an easy way to play it. The cartridge itself is expensive. I have it, of course. I've had it 3 times. Um, which I'll add to the story whenever I do the video. But and then on top of that, you have um the DS version, you have the PS1 version. The DS version is actually the definitive because it gives more additional play and story that connects even more to Chrono Cross. Um, Plus, it doesn't have the slowdown of the PS1 version. The PS1 version added the animated cutscenes, which were great. Um, Added like some extra features, but the DS version is the one to go to. Sadly, it's not digitally anywhere. So I mean, well, you can. It is on Steam, so there's a way to play it, but it is a beautiful game. It is. It's a game that I can sit there and play multiple times, um, just because I love being immersed in that world. The characters were so awesome. It was just there was fine detail for this game that made it stand out above the rest. As much as like I enjoy Final Fantasy 3 and 7 and Breath of Fire series and other RPGs and Suikoden, uh, Chrono Trigger beats them out for me. Um, but yeah, that's my favorite game of all time. Number 8. What is my favorite video game movie? So this one's hard because how do you define that? Are we talking about animated movie? Are we talking about an adapted movie? I mean, a video game adaptation? Are we talking about a film that is a sequel to a video game? Are we talking about a movie that just has video game references? Because it's really hard to quantify that for me, at least. Because, like, if we're going to talk about it, my favorite video game movie is going to be Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. It continued the story of Seven. We got to see what was going on with Cloud and his team. We got a resolution to Cloud and Sephiroth fighting, and we just got a chance to like be with these characters again. It's one of those things, just like Chrono Trigger. I enjoy this film so much that I can watch it at any time. I don't get tired of it. The voice acting was great. I this year I actually got to go see Advent Children in theaters again with my buddy Adrian, and it was just as good as watching it at home, but just getting to see it on big screen. Of course, the one we ended up watching because they did 2 nights of the dub, 2 nights of the subtitle. We ended up getting a ticket for the subtitle. And but it was fine, you know, it was still good. It still like gave me goosebumps watching the film. Um just like the fight scenes and just the character moments are so good. And to me, that is the best video game sequel movie. I mean, because like if you're talking about movies that are great adaptations, um, my favorite's going to be Mortal Kombat from '95. That great film, great cast. It was Mortal Kombat in a film. There was actually a tournament in the film, and I'm going to make this joke. The was it 2001 Mortal Kombat or whatever it was. There was no tournament in the movie, so why did you call it Mortal Kombat? It was like the prequel. I don't know. It was just bad. And then you had plot armor as the special power for the main character that didn't exist in the series at all. Anyway, I've already gone on that soapbox. But and if you're gonna talk about another movie like the Street Fighter 2 animated movie was fantastic, especially the uncut version. Because you've got a little bit more that of like the blood and other stuff that just made the film feel more realistic than just like your Saturday morning cartoon. And if you're going to talk about a movie that was something that had video game themes, I know people are going to go to The Wizard. The Wizard was great. I enjoy that film, but Ready Player One was so much better. I mean, come on. I got to see Kaneda's bike on screen. I got to see the Gundam on screen, even though that should have been Ultraman. There was just so many references and things that was like, this movie was made for me as much as that book was made for me and others, you know, because we were of that generation. That is us. But another run up, Super Mario movie was great. Sonic was great. I feel the first Silent Hill was awesome. But yeah, like my favorite video game movie is Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. All right. Uh Number 9. So we're on the last two questions here, guys. Who is your favorite game character or video game character? That's going to be Cloud Strife. I enjoy how he is written. Um, he is a someone who strived to be something but never made it. But then was thrust into a situation that he didn't ask for, and it caused him to have some trauma that um, still made him this awesome character because he had flaws. He wasn't somebody that was like from the gate that's just awesome. Like, as much as I love Solid Snake is freaking amazing. But you Cloud is something different, you know. He comes from another one of those guys that comes from a single parent background. Of course, he's blonde, like I was blonde. It's starting to get like more dirty blonde and whatever. But originally I was pretty blonde. Um, but he had a dream, you know. I even had like he had a childhood friend that he was fond over. I had a childhood friend that I was fond over that that lived next door to me at the time when I was playing the game. Um, but I get his struggle. I understand it. Um, Dealing with like the imposter syndrome, dealing with um living up with the expectations that are put in front of you. I love Cloud. Cloud's a great character. Um, and I love Final Fantasy VII. That's another one of my favorite games. And I just love his design. You know, I was in fencing. You know, I've loved sword fighting and stuff, and Cloud's just awesome using giant great sword instead of a rapier or saber or a foil or katana. But yeah, I could relate to the character, and that's one of the things is it's the relatability to these characters that we find. They don't have to technically be the similarities between these characters just because on the surface value, but there's more depth to these characters that we enjoy and why we gravitate to them. Much as like I love Dante. I love this his badass attitude, you know. Of course I named my son Edward Dante after Dante from Devil May Cry, which it would have been another one of my picks. Dante is just a freaking awesome guy, but um Cloud, if there was any character that kind of represented me that I feel personally would be Cloud. So that's why I chose him as my favorite character of all time. All right. Number 10, last one. I hope you guys have enjoyed these questions and answers. But this one's a tough one. What is your least favorite type of game? I think that's what that one was. I had to write this from my friend who did his Mark Goes Blind Gaming. Um, cool dude, check him out. He's funny. Uh, but because he's the one that, you know, had done this video and he was the first one I saw that did this. So he'll be the one I tag. But this one's hard. I don't what types of games do not like? Well, I could tell you what game I didn't like. I didn't like the third birthday. Why? Because they killed off Aya, or I called her Aya, but Aya Bria, the main character of the two Parasite Eve games, and then had Eve grow up and pretend to be her. And I just like it was such a drastic change from the combat. I mean, the style, because I, even though I know it's not consistent between one and two, but still, this was very different. And it was almost like this wash, rinse, repeat kind of thing. On top of on top of that, they had lost the license to the series. That's why it wasn't called Parasite Eve 3. And it's probably why they didn't bring Aya back officially. But I when I found out that it wasn't even her at the end and all what actually happened to her, it really pissed me off. Um, and I regretted buying that game. So like even like I don't know, it just it ticked me off. But what games do I don't enjoy? What are your least favorite types of games? Because I'm pretty open to what I play. I mean, I don't play sports games. I mean, that would be a generic answer. Um, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm not into, you know. I'm not into Fortnite, even though I love first person shooters. It's just not my thing. I like a particular theme to what I'm playing, especially a story. I guess I don't play like games that don't have um a substance or a story behind them. And I'm not bad mouthing Fortnite. Same thing like Roblox. I can't get into that. I know my son plays that, and he's actually started playing Roblox Fortnite as well. But um, and it's weird because like even like I enjoy Minecraft because of the aspect of building. I enjoy like what they've created with this game. It's kind of like virtual Legos in my opinion. And but even that doesn't really have a story. You kind of make up your story as you go. But it's I feel that that's a different type of like gameplay. Um, I do like challenges, so it's I can't say like I don't like I've played some of the Dark Souls games and stuff, but I'm like it's not my particular cup of tea. Um, yeah, this one's hard. I knew this was going to stump me when I wrote this out, but I don't know. Because I've never really given it a thought. You know, because I know my friend used to hit me with questions of like, what game do you regret buying? Of course, at the time I hadn't played the third birthday, and I'm like, well, I don't usually buy games I don't enjoy, or I don't think I'm going to enjoy. But man, I still can't think of an answer for this one. Sports games, I guess. I'm gonna just go with the generic answer. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was pretty fun. Um, I might change this around and make the questions for toy collectors, maybe, or film buffs. That'd be cool. What's your favorite movie? Do you think movies can be entertained? Yeah, I think I can rewrite this and make 2 episodes on this. But yeah, I overall I enjoy gaming. Um, Without it, I think my life would be a little dull. I do realize that part of gaming had stopped me from achieving my goal because I could be my goals in life because I could have been spending the time that I play video games, learning a trade, learning, perfecting my writing skills and drawing skills. Um, there's a lot of things. Maybe that's the question. Well, how do you feel like, what is it? Maybe, do you feel that video games have hindered your progress in life? And I do sometimes. I really do. But I do appreciate gaming. I do. Of course, I mean, I wouldn't be here today if gaming wasn't around. I wouldn't have my son or my wife without gaming. Gaming is very, very important to me. Um, and I very much appreciate it. And I'm glad of the friends I've made, the people that I've had been blessed to meet because of video games. Um, and so let me see. Let me do this. I am going to tag Retro Ryan to answer this. And oh, Rosram. And I'll put their link to them and I'll tag them in the thing. But I'd like to see what their take on these 10 questions are. Um, and you guys, tag 2 people in your videos and you tag me or whatever so I know. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Please, if you don't feel comfortable making this video, let me know what your 10 would be, what your questions are your answers to these 10 questions. I'd love to read it. Let me know what you think about this video. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. I figured I'd just throw that out there. Because I do appreciate the comments. I do appreciate people who enjoy what I do. In the meantime, everyone, have a great one, and I'll catch you later.